Hi everyone, my apologies for the delay. After a month of not streaming, it seems I've forgotten a few basic necessities. Today is the first day of NaNoWriMo, the National Novel Writing Month, or rather, to put it better, it is a International Novel Writing Month. How did you all do? Have you been able to write already, or have you been waiting to see what you can write tonight? I have to be honest, and I have to say I haven't written a single word yet today. But well, I had my job, so I had to work, and after that, I had a few things to do at home. I mean, yeah, that also still is something to do, and so I haven't written any words yet, but it doesn't mean I haven't thought about my story yet. In this case, last month I have hardly written anything in my story about the Tergaenae Chronicles. If you remember, I left with the background story of Nasya and Nejat, and that is the story for which I will be working right now again. For those who don't know me, I am Ilse. I am a magic wielding dragon companion and a creator of worlds, in this case the world of Tergaenae. And Tergaenae is a world filled with magic and dragons and mages, also commoners, and all kinds of creatures and all kinds of biologically different races. And with that I mean there are races that are inspired by meerkats, for example, because I just adore meerkats. They are just, I mean, they are so lovely. So yeah, I have a race that's inspired by meerkats. But one of the creatures in my story, for example, is the flutter nymph, and that is inspired by a very tiny creature of the sea. But you won't find it in the sea in Tergaenae. So what am I gonna do? Well, I am not writing a new novel this NaNoWriMo. I am continuing with my background story of Nasya and Nejat because I need that story to be finished first before I can continue or before I can rewrite my first novel, because a lot has changed between writing the previous draft of my main novel, and now. And there are things that I need to add in the new novel, or in the main novel, I have to say correctly, and that is okay. I mean, that's not a problem, but I need to know certain things to be sure that that I can how do I say that I know exactly where people are and what they are doing. Good morning. You're not sure about this. Okay. Well, good morning to you too. Uh, it's nice to meet you. I don't think I have met you before. Um, if you know me from somewhere else, let me know where you know me from. And if you just joined me for the first time, welcome. And let me know what project you are working on. I'm always um, interested and curious to hear about other people's projects. And did you manage to? Oh, you! It's your screen name on YouTube. You just found me for the first time. Well, thank you for joining me. I'm always happy to see new people joining. Today I will be doing a few writing sessions, and I will have a look at NaNoWriMo, how that is going. I mean, it's the first day of NaNoWriMo. Are you familiar with NaNoWriMo? Because it's an event I've been a part of for, I don't know, over a decade. I think it's been a while. You're working on a series about romantic and friendship relationships in relation to trauma. Oh, wow. It's a fiction novel. Okay. And is it set in this world, in Earth, or is it set in a fantasy world? I mean, romantic and friendship relationships in relation to trauma. That's a pretty heavy subject. I admire you for doing that. You're doing NaNoWriMo this year as well. Oh, great. You have all your writing ideas ready to go. That's awesome. Your book is set in this world and this day and age. Oh, that's good. That's good. Um, it, Writing about something like that in relation to trauma, that can't be an easy thing to do. It also, I mean, if you have experience with trauma one way or the other, I can imagine it can help you write the book, but it can be a heavy subject. Hi Dida, welcome. Dida is my moderator. Thank you for joining us. You're hanging in and on. Sometimes you have about 3,000 words already. You wish us all a fabulous writing day. Thank you all. Thank you very much. I'm not sure about this. Thank you for sharing your information about your story. I can share a little bit of information about mine. Mine, like I said, is set in the world of Tergaenae, and it is a fully fantasy world. I simply couldn't imagine how I was supposed to support the dragons and a living place for the dragons in today's Earth. That was completely out of my out of the scope of my imagination, and a complete fantasy world made a whole lot more sense to me. You already had started the project, but it's definitely a very heavy subject matter. Your goal this month is to get all the filler scenes done and out of the way. Oh, that's great. Yes. Yes, I can imagine it's a heavy subject. Yeah. You love reading and writing fantasy novels. Oh, they are so inventive, and you have to build an entirely new world. Yes, that is true. That is true. And it is something that I always also enjoy. Creating my own world, it gives you the option to simply do what you want. And of course, you have to keep in mind, or it is wise to keep in mind, let me put it that way, that your world has rules. And I mean, just like on Earth, I mean, here on Earth we have gravity, and we don't just float up into the sky, and water goes down, it doesn't go up. But in your world, it might go up instead of down. And those are the fun things about fantasy, I think. Let me. Okay, I hope the mic is better this way for me. Dida, let's get us started with the world building. No, Dida, we're gonna write today. We're not gonna do a lot of world building. I'm not sure about this. You say it's pretty hard to do it in less than 100,000 words. Commendable project. Yes, thank you very much. Well, my project is it's not gonna be finished after NaNoWriMo. At this moment, I mean, it started as a one-book world, and or rather, I have to put it correctly. I have a huge world. It's an entire planet, and I mean, I know there are books that are focused on a continent, a larger continent or a smaller continent, but it's a continent, and oftentimes people almost forget that there is much more to the world than just that continent. And in my case, I decided to just make the whole world, the whole planet, and it gives me the opportunity to make a lot more for my book. So it started out as a one book story, or at least that was my original idea, and then it became a trilogy. and at some point, yeah, it became a quintet. I think 5 books. And now I just decided, well, you know what? I'm just gonna write it. I'm gonna write it all, and once I've finished writing it, then I'll just um, see where I need to divide it into proper books, because I have no idea yet how it will fit. Dida, exactly, you've been on this since November last year, and you have over 700k words by now. Yeah, and it's incredible. Diversity is easy on a large place like a planet. It is, yes, you are absolutely right about that. You just increase it to 6 books. Yeah. I'm not sure about this. You say I had the idea to write a world that is inside this world, and you access it through the Bermuda Triangle. It incorporates the pilots who disappeared from Flight 19. Once I started, I was like, whoa! I can imagine. It's incredible. This is going to be too intense to continue until the other books are done. I can imagine that. Having a world inside Earth, or inside the world of Earth, is incredible. Does it mean that they enter another plane of existence inside Earth, or are they literally going inside the Earth, inside the inner core, or how does it work in your world? And are they somehow drawn to the Bermuda Triangle because of this? Melissa, thank you very much for sharing your name. That makes it a lot easier. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's indeed better. Dida, Jules Verne's version is a bit outdated, so we need a new one. You're absolutely right about that. So I can't wait to see what Melissa comes up with. It's like a portal, you think, Melissa. You're not sure yet. Well, I mean, you can do it in so many different ways. You can use a portal system, but you can also let them dig down into the earth, or go through the sea, through the bottom of the sea somehow, or through caves or things like that. It's incredible. Yeah, I think that is a very good idea. Melissa, our group on Discord, we're not only limited to NaNoWriMo. We talk about writing and world building throughout the year, and we help each other with things where we are stuck. We share ideas, and we spar with each other, and that is always fun to do. Melissa, you can't even imagine being 700k words into 6 novels. You just started your first book, and you had a ton of ideas about things. Well, that is the best way to do it. I agree? Melissa is a very good candidate. Melissa, you can do that. Let me see if I can give you the link for our cabin. Let's not leave the server. That's not handy. Invite people. Okay, here's the link. It should work. So, welcome in our server. Oh, that's right. Yeah, I posted the link in the description. You're absolutely right about that. I forgot that. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. So what are we going to do today? Because we're not only going to talk about world building, how tempting it may be, because we can talk for hours about world building if you just let me and Dida just go on, and then we'll never stop. So that's yeah, that's how we roll sometimes. And it's wonderful to have Dida as a sparring partner, and also the others, Fidina, who might join us later, Little Writer, and others who are in the Discord, I have to say. And it's always fun to talk about world building, to talk about our story development and ideas for our stories and character development, and we help each other with those things, and ask questions if we how do I say that? We ask each other questions if someone presents an idea and we don't have a clear picture about that, then we just keep on answering questions, and that's fun to do. Melissa, you're welcome, and join us when you have the time. What is brought to that board? Yes, exactly, Dida. You're absolutely right about that. We share everyday things, idea bouncing, whatever we think about, and rant a little from time to time. Yes, we do that as well, but most of the time it's exactly what you say, just bouncing off each other, sparring, etc., etc. And sometimes also sharing chapters or just little pieces of our story we have written, or of our world building. We sometimes share that as well. Did you say what is brought to the board stays on the board? Exactly. Everything that we say and do in a Discord is purely for that Discord. We do not talk about it with other people outside our Discord, unless, for example, if I tell you guys something in a Discord about Tergaenae, and I explicitly tell you guys that you can share that with others, then you are allowed to share that with others. But otherwise, everything stays in the Discord, and also, if you share personal things, it all stays in the Discord and it doesn't go outside that group. We want our group to be a safe group, where everybody feels they can share everything, also personal struggles, without judgment and without having the fear of that those feelings and that information going outside of that outside of our server. So that is a hard line we have in our Discord. Did it likewise? Is thank you. Anything help group? Yes, exactly. We're in it together. You're absolutely right about that. Melissa, it sounds amazing. It is. It's great. Oh, Fadina, hi! I just mentioned you that you might join us later. Thank you for joining us. I hope you had a wonderful day. And yes, hi Melissa. Thank you for joining our Discord. Did I ask for opinions? Yes, that is always a good thing to do. Ask for opinions or ideas, and when you get stuck or when you have a dilemma about two ideas or two development ideas or something like that, where you don't know exactly what you want to, what the best line is to do, we will always help you in the best way we can. Melissa, you're not sure when we are doing writing sprints. You're in the US, and your ability to pop in will likely be limited, but I'll try. Well, starting this month, I am going to try to do a live stream every Friday at 3 p.m. That's now Central European time. That's Amsterdam time. So that is around the same time as right now. And today is an exception because today is the first day of NaNoWriMo. So that is why I do it on Wednesday as well. I will also have a live stream coming Friday. I changed it to the afternoon for me because it seems to be a better time for me to do the live streams. But in the Discord, we might also run other writing sprints, and you are free to run writing sprints in the Discord as well. We have a writing bot. Dita, do you know if it's still active, the writing bot? I'm not quite sure. I thought it was active. Anyways, the writing bot should be active, and then you can run writing sprints as well. And you can ask the writing bot to generate some questions or other things to help you get started or get moving on. Well, let's see, catch up. Dida, you say even both Ilse and I are in Europe. There are people from yeah. We have people from all over the world. Melissa, that's 9 a.m. Central CST in the US, so that's perfect for you. Oh, perfect. Mornings in Illinois are great. that's wonderful to hear. When the kids are at school, oh yeah, I can imagine that. Well, for me, I don't have kids, but friends of mine have kids, so I know what it's like from them. And I just have a normal daytime job. Well, normal. I start at 6 a.m. so my daytime job ends at noon, around noon. And I find that writing in the afternoon is better for me, at least at the moment. Dida, especially weekends, she'll most likely be available evenings European time. Yeah, and otherwise we'll just, especially in the Discord, we will always respond. It might take a day, depending on how busy our days are, but we will always respond. And if in any case you have asked the question for which you really need an answer, and we don't respond to that day, please tag us. I mean, you're welcome to tag us, any of us, to get an answer. That's not a problem at all. And yeah, did you check in normally during daytime as well? Yes, and so do I. But in the mornings, I try to do that in my breaks, and the rest of the time I usually do not check in, because that's a bit frowned upon. Let me put it that way. So I'll just limit it to my breaks, and in the afternoon and in the evening I'll check in far more regularly. Melissa, you know so little about Discord, so you may get a little lost sometimes, but you look around after the sprint to see what's up and how to navigate. That's no problem. You can always ask us about it, and please feel free if you have any questions about Discord. One of the rules we have is that there are no stupid questions, only stupid answers. So there is no stupid question you can ask. Just ask anything. I mean, we might not even know the answer, but many times we do know the answer about Discord things for our server particularly, and we will help you with it. And luckily, our server isn't that complicated, or at least I hope so, and that will help get to know the server. Melissa, well, that's good to hear. Exactly. Okay, so what we're going to do today, we are going to do a few writing sprints. And writing sprints means writing for 25 minutes, and then we will have a short break. It kind of depends on if it's 5 minutes or 10 minutes. That kind of depends on how much we need, and if we are talking about the story, about the results, about surprises you've had while writing, or things you are stuck with about world building, then the break might take a little longer. But we will do a few writing sessions today, and then around 5:30 p.m. I think, depending on how things go, the writing sessions will end. So that will be 3, maybe 4 writing sessions. I think it will be 3 writing sessions of 25 minutes, knowing us. And then Friday we will do another session, again at the same time. And I say 5 p.m. 5:30 p.m. So that is let's say in about 2 hours. This session will end. Maybe I will go on longer, but it completely depends on how I feel. If I get too tired, because I'm still suffering from long COVID, so that's an important thing to know. If I'm too tired, then I won't continue, and then I will just stop at 5:30, so in 2 hours. And otherwise, I might continue. I've done that before as well, planning it for 2 hours and then just go on for 4 or 5 or 6. But since I gotta work tomorrow at 6 a.m., I think I'll keep it at 5:30, maybe 6. So at least 2 hours, maybe 2.5. So I do have. Oh, I don't have set my clock. I need to get my clock app ready. I use a timer, which you guys should hear, but I'm not exactly sure if you guys do, but you should hear it. And then we have a timer of 25 minutes. If it wants to cooperate, yes, okay. Or not. 1 minute, 1 moment. Why is it not cooperating? This is weird. Ah, see that one. Okay, Melissa, you have long COVID as well. Oh my, you just got your resting heart rate down. That's good to hear. Good to see you here despite that. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, it's been more than a year now. I got it August last year, halfway August, and it's been a struggle. And I had to go down in my hours, in my working hours, 2 weeks ago, after I had been building up my hours because I was just getting worse and worse. And now I still see that sometimes I have to search for words. I'll be tired. Sometimes I'm even too tired to walk, which is a hobby of mine. So that's not good. But it always, in the end, it will be all right. So, guys, ladies, I have set up the timer of 25 minutes. Unless you ask, do we have daily writing goals for this month? Do we post them anywhere? Yeah, I used the Nano website. Let me see if I can pull it in. Okay, apparently I'm not logged in. That's always a surprise. Let's see if I can pull in the Nano site. Wait. I'll have to see. I don't usually. I don't usually include things like that. Ah, found it. Okay. Let me see. Do you guys see it now? Yes. Okay. On the NaNoWriMo site, that is NaNoWriMo.org. If you fill in your project, you will see your project details. You will see the it's not showing it. Of course, why? Of course, you will see the daily word count, and the daily word count normally during NaNoWriMo is 1,667 words out of the top of my head. And in the end, it counts up until 50,000 words. So that is how we keep track. At least during not only during NaNoWriMo, during November, you now also have the option to make projects outside of NaNoWriMo, outside of April and July and November, and keep track of those and have and then you will also get daily goals to keep if you set a goal of a word count, for example. So yeah, that's how we keep track. I also use Scrivener, and that means, rather, I have to say it correctly, in Scrivener there is an overview, a target, project target, and that project target shows the, I'm sorry, I'm looking for my mouse, right, in Scrivener. The project target, the manuscript target, shows the amount of words that you want to achieve, and you fill that in yourself. And you can fill in a session target. And what I always do is I fill in a session target of 500 words. So in those 25 minutes, I want to reach 500 words. And the fun part of that is that you slowly see the bar filling up. And in the end, if you've reached those 500 words, the bar will be fully green, and you will get a pop-up saying that you reached your target of that session. So that's always fun. Let me catch up. Did you say it's okay to use the Discord for accountability as well? If you'd like it, yeah, we do that as well. NaNoWriMo will do that. Free to set up a profile. Yeah. Yeah, I like the stats as well. It's fun to do. Melissa, you have an account with NaNoWriMo, so you can totally use that. Yeah, it's really ideal. And it's such a super specific number. I'm surprised you remember it. I cannot for the life of me remember that I just said 2,000 words. Well, I've been doing NaNoWriMo for about 10 years now, and I am quite used to that number by now. So, I mean, I didn't always make it, those 50,000 words, but that's okay. That is the challenge, and it's also fun to be able to reach it. But if you don't reach it, it's all good as well. That's just maths. Well, sort of, yeah. Melissa, you've heard so much about Scrivener, but I just used Word in Microsoft and was writing my words to track before. It's nice to have somewhere to do that. I agree. Yeah, it's NaNoWriMo is handy to keep track of your word count. For me, words became too complicated because I have so much information about my world and my story and etc. etc. But that is something for a later video I'm working on, which I hope to publish next week, and that will feature Scrivener and how I deal with Scrivener, or rather how I put my fantasy project in Scrivener, how I do that. And for me, working in Word is, it's not handy. With such a large project as this, it's way too complicated to keep track of things, because I would need so many documents, to have it all together, and that's not handy. So that is why I use Scrivener, and I really love it. One of the fun things with Scrivener, if I'm correct, they have that this year as well. You can have a trial version, for Scrivener, which doesn't cost a thing. And if I'm correct, then if you make those 50,000 words, you will get a key to buy Scrivener for 50%, if I'm correct. Um, so that can make a huge difference. Did you simply use cloud saved Google Docs? Melissa, you don't know why, but I struggle with Google Docs. It makes me leery for some reason. Yeah. Did I? Don't get me going. Whatever, Portugal. Yeah. Melissa, I think maybe I watched too much crime for my own good. Yeah, well, I've heard things about Google Docs and AI and things like that. Also, other sites, fanfiction sites and things like that, and that made me decide to pretty much get everything of Google Docs and Google Drive that doesn't contain any business information or any information about my stories. I mean, the things that do not contain any sensitive information. Sure, I can have that there, but not the rest. And Melissa, oh, exciting. Yeah. Okay, so let's get started because we're already 45 minutes into today's live stream and we haven't done anything yet. Are you guys ready for a word sprint of 25 minutes? So that we can start working on our novel. Melissa, you ready? Dida, Fedina, I hope you guys are ready as well. And then we can start. Dida, you wouldn't write an extra page? Yeah, totally understand that. Melissa, you've got your Word document open. Perfect. Okay, well, let's get started. I will start the sprint and then we're off. I wish you all good luck and may the words flow freely, may the story flow to you, and may your characters tell you what to do. I wish you all a lot of fun. And let's get started. Hi little Ratodoodles, thank you for joining us. You're in and out, but you wanted to drop in and say hi. Well, that's great, thank you. I hope you had a wonderful day today. Uh, nothing but. It's great that you joined us, that you dropped in. I hope you can stay for a while. We are writing for another 15 minutes, 16 minutes. So if you like to join us, please feel free to do so. The Ratodoodle should try to write like Fedina, but autocorrect changed it. Yeah, I was wondering about who Fijian was, but okay. That explains it. Okay, have fun. Happy writing. And that is the end of our first sprint. How did you guys do? I managed to write 485 words of my 500 goal for this session. Okay, I'm 15 words short, but I don't mind that. I had to think about a few things. This is a story that I had not made an outline for. Even though I do use outlines, I use them as a guideline of sorts. They're also not highly detailed, like I've heard from other people. But writing completely without an outline is a whole different ballgame. It's different. Melissa, you wrote a whopping 950 words. That's awesome. That's great. You're very close to today's word count goal. You've done amazingly well. What was the biggest surprise you found in those 950 words, if you found any? And did it go as planned? It's really exciting. Yeah, I can imagine that. And you don't think you've written that fast before. Well, that's what sprints are for. Dida, you've been flipping pages looking for something, so not writing so much. Yeah, but you're editing, right? So I can imagine that you wouldn't write a lot at the moment, but still, you managed to edit 3,000 words into it. So you did a wonderful job today. And yeah, I agree with you. She did great. Melissa did great. You're not editing. Oh, my apologies. My apologies. Melissa, you think the surprising things was how many words there are for the word sanctuary? Oh, seriously? Yeah, that's I mean, you can. Yeah, there are surprisingly enough. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. Well, in my case, this was not an easy part to write. It also didn't help that it has been a while since I've worked on this story, because I've been quite busy on one hand and way too tired to write on the other hand. This month or last month, I have to say. So it's been quite a while since I wrote in this background story, so I was a little bit out of it, so I had to get my bearings straight. I decided to change something that I had written earlier. I haven't edited the old part, but I just wrote this new. My apologies. I simply wrote this new part and changed some vital information in this new part that I will have to edit in later in the old part. So that's gonna be fun. Melissa, you asked Dida how many words she did. Dida, you passed today's goal already, so you'll take whatever time you need for other things. And Melissa, you think I was also... Yes, that's right. I was indeed welcoming someone in the stream as well. Little Writer Doodles, she's on in our Discord as well, and she joined us earlier, halfway through the session. Little Writer Doodles, are you still with us, and how did you do? And Fidina, how did you do with writing? I hope that you two managed to write a lot as well. That would be fun. Melissa, yeah, the fact that Dida is not writing at the moment, it makes sense. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Dida, she's always warm. Ah, thank you. Little Writer Doodles, didn't do much as something is behind the icons, behind the emojis. as you had to get up getting snacks for the little one. Oh, I hope the little one is doing okay, and that she was happy with the snacks. It's always fun. Or fun, I don't know. I can imagine it's always it's also a challenge to have a little kid around when you're trying to write. um, and I mean you have to balance what attention you give to your writing, and how much focus you can put on there, and how much attention you give. My apologies again. How much attention you give to your little one. It's fun. Or it's a fun challenge. It's a challenge. Let me put it that way. Um, well, for me, I don't have any kids, like I said, so I just could simply focus on my writing. This is more. I'm at the moment writing a prelude to a fighting scene, and I am not good at writing fighting scenes. Did you guys hear me, by the way? Because apparently the mic was hidden a bit. Um, so it's going to be interesting to see how things are going. But at the moment, and I'm taking a leap of faith here, and guessing that the powers that be, the High Council of Tergaenae, um, does allow me to tell you guys about this. There is a magical device that the outsiders have brought in. And for Melissa, at the moment, one of my main characters has brought a large group of dragon companions into a forest, and inside that forest is also an ancient forest, and that ancient forest has ancient magic, and it's not, how shall I say this? It is not common magic, or at least not anymore. Um, so everybody has to get used to that, to being around such magic, and there is a counterfeit issue going on with coins, and that is why they are there, to investigate. And they have found that there is a group of outsiders who are at the source of it all, and now they are confronted with this group of outsiders, and this group of outsiders um, brought some box with them, and well, that box contains ancient magic somehow, and they are now the dragon companions and the villagers that tagged along are now confronted with that ancient magic that has been corrupted. So yeah, it's this is gonna be an interesting part to write. And Melissa, little writer doodles, you can't even imagine writing with little ones around. You have to have the kids at school to be able to focus. Kudos to you. Yeah, I can imagine that. Dida, you've noticed you either write the fighting scenes at once or they're left out for a long time. Yeah, I'm not sure how this is going to be. At first, it will be a more mental thing because of this ancient magic, this corrupted ancient magic. So it might turn out that there is no fighting, but well, I don't know. I mean, they're with a staggering amount of 24 dragon companions. So I do hope that somehow they will get through this, even though the outsiders are with a much smaller group, and even though they brought that corrupted ancient magic thing with them. We'll have to see. I'll have to see about that. Um, I'm trying to catch up with the chat. Melissa, that's very cool. My husband loves magic and dragons. He plays D&D and has the best time creating storylines around dragons. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, feel free to share any ideas he has about dragons. In my case, in Tergaenae, the dragons are sentient beings and they can communicate with the dragon companions um, in a way that other commoners cannot communicate with them. It's all part of ancient history, and the dragons are much more than, for example, the dragons in Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings. I mean, Lord of the Rings, they're not really dragons; they are wraiths, if I'm correct. But in Game of Thrones, I mean, they are dragons, but they do not really communicate with the nearest. In my case, in Tergaenae, the dragons can really communicate with the dragon companions, and they will also at times maybe, I don't know, do justice. Shall I say it that way? So yeah, that's fun. In this case, in this particular scene or chapter, I should say, the dragons are outside of the forest because otherwise they wouldn't have any room to maneuver. So that is, how shall I say that? That might be also the thing that will save the dragon companions, because the dragons might not be influenced by that ancient magic thing. The dragons. I'm sorry, I heard something weird. Okay, maybe it was just a mail. It might be that they are not influenced by that ancient magic thing. The dragons do have magic of their own. They have innate magic. Partially, it's what keeps them flying. It's what keeps them in the air when they are flying. But they also have innate magic in several ways. And it is ancient magic. It's not the more common magic that mages are used to nowadays in Tergaenae. So they are used to, the dragons are used to ancient magic, but now they too are confronted with this corrupted ancient magic thing. And the dragons in Tergaenae, who have dragon companions, also have a bond with the dragon companions, so they might be influenced through that bond by the corrupted ancient magic. I don't know yet. I'll have to find that out. Okay, reading back on the chat. Dida, you can see what happens like a movie in your head, and then you will write it. Okay, I see. That's, yeah. If that is, if you can see that, I can imagine that you can write it. Yes. And Melissa, you truly struggle with fight scenes. I avoid them. They are so hard to write. Yes, I might just say something like they fought and he got hurt and he got hurt and I don't know, whatever. Because the dragon companions have all kinds of fighting mechanisms. They use a form of martial arts and hell, I don't know, so many things. So I'm not experienced in that. So I might write wrong things, but I plan to later on get some people to read the books people who are experienced with those fighting techniques. Well, that was a hard word. Dida, sometimes you need to realize all that needs to happen during that fight. They can't win straight away and have certain struggles. And what magic do they face along the fight? Exactly, yeah. And such things sometimes I know and other times you don't. I agree. You still have left a point of conflict in book 1. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. And your dragons are transformed humans. Yeah, that's a very interesting concept, I think, in your books. I don't think I've ever heard of that being done. Well, at least not in the way that you have done it. I mean, in The Witcher, there is a dragon who transformed into a human, and I think he also transformed back. I'm not sure anymore. But that was just one dragon. And I think there might have been a second dragon that was talked about, but we didn't see it, and I didn't see it in the books. But the way that you've done it is, I think, is really different from how other people do it. Melissa, dragons as transformed humans, that's fantastic. Dragons with the whole spectrum of human emotions. I'd love to read that. Yeah. Only write doodles. What did you want to what did you want to write? Please feel free to write anything you want. Well, many things you want. Melissa, you feel the hardest part of the fight scenes are the logistics and how to write those without bogging it down with a ton of details that slow the scene down. Yeah, that's one of the things I know I'm not good at either. I might have way too much information in it. I will have to see. I'll just have to see how it turns out. And Melissa, you've only attempted like 3 fight scenes. Only one was actually readable. Yeah, it's a how do I say that? It's a curious thing writing fighting scenes. I mean, you can have something in your head, in your mind, and it might not work out. Also, the question is, how many details do you need to include, and how much do you leave to your readers to imagine for themselves? That is that's always a challenge. But in this case, like Dida just said, for first drafting, don't worry, just the icon thing is hiding your words. Just describe. Okay, I can just read it. Just describe. Yeah, Dida is absolutely right about that. Especially for the first draft, you have to get the words down, and that's all. Yeah, you just have to get, or not the words, but the events you want to happen in your story, and details, and cleaning up, and getting rid of details or adding more details. That is something for later drafts. I mean, I have started. I have to rephrase that. When I first started with my main novel, I reached a point, and the others from the group already know that. I reached a point where I had written myself into a corner, and I just couldn't get out of it anymore. Simply because I had written so much that I didn't know anymore who was doing what, where, when, how, and who was saying anything. So I had it all mixed up in the end, and thus I had to rewrite the entire novel. And right now I am rewriting it again. Now, well, not entirely. I am rewriting parts of the novel again because, for instance, Nejat is a completely new character.
he wasn't in the books yet. He wasn't in the series yet. Nasya is completely new, same story. So I have to adjust the original story for that. Why would I do that? Because their story and their characters, those characters, make for a better novel, or at least I hope so. It is what I imagined, and it gave me the opportunity to bring together several things in the whole series later on. Things that otherwise I might have much more problems with bringing together. And right now I already see how I need to where I need to place things, not only on a timeline but also where I have to place people to achieve certain goals, and also how the intrigues work. Because I had some intrigues in my mind, but I hadn't completely thought out how they would work and how I could manage to make them work. Um, I hadn't discovered it yet, and now that I have Nejat and Nasya and their story, that is being woven into the main story, I know where to go now. I've discovered that information, and I'm more confident that it will be a way better story. Did he also say, thanks, Melissa, they weaved into the story you already had at some point, so you'd be happy if others find that interesting? Yeah, it's always fun. Okay, are you all up for another sprint of 25 minutes? It is now 4:30 here in the Netherlands, and I would like to go for another sprint to see where it can take me, and to see how Nejat and his fellow dragon companions are faring, and what exactly is happening to them. Do you guys all have something to drink or something to snack with you, or do you need a little break to get that? Melissa, it's 10:30 in Illinois. Oh, great. Yeah, it's getting closer to dinner time here in the Netherlands. um, in an hour or so, you will see more or a lot of people having dinner here in the Netherlands. It's a common time to have dinner. Dida, you have orange juice. Oh, great. And Melissa, you have your drink, and let me see what's there, and some stuff while we're talking. Oh, great. That's good to hear. Little Writer Doodles, Fadina, are you guys ready as well? I hope you are. I haven't heard from you guys anymore. I hope you are doing fine. And I hope you can get into to more writing. Dida, you begin outlining a scene with Little Miss Bump in the night. Ooh, interesting, interesting. Tell us more about it later on after the next writing session. And yeah, you can do. Oh, perfect. Well, let's get started on another writing sprint for 25 minutes, and may the words flow freely for you. Dida, outlining for you probably means exploring some things, elements you've thought about. Oh, excellent, excellent. That will be fun to do. I wish you a lot of fun with outlining. And Melissa and Fidina and Little Writer Doodles, I wish you all a lot of fun with writing, with everything that you all are doing. And those others who are not in the chat but who are also joining us for these sessions. It's fun to have you all around. And if you want to be notified of the next live stream, be sure to like and subscribe, and then you will be notified of the next live stream session, which is coming Friday. And this month I will do live writing streams every Friday, and I might continue that in December. So without further ado, let's start another writing sprint. I wish you all good luck and happy writing. and that is the end of our second sprint. How did you guys do? I managed to write 742 words, which means I made my target of this session. And I am now at a total of 1,227 words, which is closer to today's goal. So I'm happy about it. This ancient device is, yeah, it's corrupted and it plays with the mind. So that's a bad thing. Well, I don't know how things will continue from here, but I hope that I can find out in the next session. Let me catch up with the chats. Melissa, you wrote you like to hear when people outline scenes. You really struggle with outlining as well. I just write and hope it works out. Well, you know, if that works for you, then it works. For me, I have outlines, but I don't have detailed outlines. I use keywords and key phrases. I might write a few sentences if I think that it is a particular text that needs to be included in a novel. But otherwise, it's simple keywords, bullet points, just a short description, but nothing into really details, because I know myself, and if I make it too detailed, then I am locking myself in, and that is not what I want. I want to have the freedom to deviate from my outline, and if that is especially if that is better for the story, or if something suddenly emerges, in that case I will deviate from the outline. I mean, I have had moments where suddenly some character came up, or rather took a bigger role than I had originally thought, and it turned out to be a good thing. So that was good, and that was a deviation from my outline. It was a deviation from my character description, but it worked out, and that is what matters for me. If it makes the story better, then go for it. For me, I regard an outline as a guideline and not as something that is set in stone, because otherwise I'm just too limited. And Dida, you basically panned everything then. I mean, you mean everything since last year. When I say outlining, that means briefly looking at the map before jumping out of the plane with my parachute, so to speak. Oh, I like that. I like that description. That's excellent. Oh, I agree with you, Melissa. It's excellent. You wrote a whopping 1,024 words. Incredible. I mean, it's wow. You're really on a roll here. That's awesome. That's awesome. And Dida, you had to open your map and got lost in changing things, but you found out some interesting plot points. Excellent. That's great to hear. And yeah, I agree, Dida. It's a bloody good word count. And I mean, Melissa, you are really on a roll. It's awesome to hear. I think that you will make that goal of 50,000 words easily if you keep on going like this. Melissa, you normally don't type that fast, but I think working against the clock is helping. Well, if it helps, it helps. It's for me, it's not so much the clock, but seeing that green bar fill up. And what helps me is I write for 25 minutes and then I have a break, so I'm not constantly writing and getting tired of writing. That for me helps. As you also said, you think this piece might be 2 chapters as it flows, but there is a point where things change, and that might need to be a new place to start rather than a continuation of a previous part of this. Those are the things that you can decide indeed later on. As long as your story keeps on flowing at the moment, just keep on going, and later on you can divide it into parts. Like I said, right now, originally this is a background story, what I'm writing, and it is not meant to be in the main novel. I am not going to include this in the main novel because the end of this background story is where the main novel will start. And these 2 characters will be in the main novel, in the series, but they will not constantly be the main characters. I have a character cast that is that forms the main characters. And originally Nejat and Nasya didn't. I mean, they weren't even in the picture. And now, at least for the first book, probably part of the second book, they might be more in flashbacks or really short moments. And later on, they will get more important parts. Oh, Melissa, you also asked pants. Yeah, Dida, to write from the seat of your pants, no preps. Yeah, that's well, it's a description, or sort of description, that comes from NaNoWriMo themselves. It's planning, pantsing, or planting, and planning. Well, that's obviously outlining. Into very highly detailed outlining, as some people do. Pantsing is what Dida just described, and planting is something in between. That is well, kind of what I do. I have made an outline. Well, not for the background story, but for the main novel, I have made an outline. But like I said, it's in bullet points. It's in key phrases and keywords, and I give myself total freedom to deviate from that outline. So yeah, I prepared something, but I might not stick to it if I find it's better for the story. And Melissa, you think that's kind of hilarious? Yeah, it is. It is. Dida, people often talk about pantsing versus planning or planting, which is a combination. Yeah. Little Writes or Doodles, you are ignoring how many words you wrote or didn't write, but you have added a few sentences in between playing and entertaining. I can imagine that. You have a little one around you, and then writing is not always easy to do. You got most of your word count done earlier today, so only a little to do. That's awesome. That's great to hear. You're doing great. If as long as you feel good about it. I mean, no matter if you reach that goal of 50,000 words, as long as you feel good about your writing and by what you achieved today and tomorrow and by the end of November, that is what counts. Those 50,000 words, it is a goal, and of course it was the original goal. The original group of NaNoWriMo was set for their little group of friends they started this event with. But in the end, my apologies, in the end it is all about what you have achieved and how happy you are with that result. That is what counts. Dida, it's called motivation, Melissa. Good work. Yeah, it is. Melissa, you think you usually get like 1,500 words in about an hour and a half. Well, it means that you're doing awesome, and that's great to hear. Dida, great work, Lils. Yeah, I totally agree. Melissa, Little Writer Doodles, you keep forgetting that most of you are in places that are far ahead of my time zone. Yeah, but that's okay. One of our cabin members, Discord members, I think Lord Forlon or the Resolute Rider. I'm not exactly sure. They are, I think from South America. I think I'm not exactly sure, but I think. Um, and we have one other who is from Australia, so that's that's the other way around. So it's fun to see multiple nationalities in our group, and um, I mean, sure, we cannot always get together, but in the end, we can still support each other through Discord. It's what we really like in Discord. Um, and the resolutes from the U.S. Midwest. Ah, right, right. And okay, I thought Forlon was also from South Americas, but I'm not sure anymore. Um, I remember Dita and I talked about it after Camp Nano, when it was still on the Camp NaNoWriMo site, and we had the chat option there. And then after Camp Nano, it ended, and we didn't have a chat option anymore, and we didn't have an option to keep the group together anymore. And that is why the Discord is so wonderful to use, because we can keep things going, and we can make like we did. We made multiple channels that are topic specific, um, to help keep a focus on things, and that is the beauty of Discord. Um, and of course, the NaNoWriMo site is very good to use, but in this case, the Discord for us works as a community tool that helps us to stay together and to keep encouraging each other. And that's fun. Lord Forlon is 1 hour ahead of us. Oh, right, that's true. Fadina is in Asia. Yeah, Asia. And you like the smooth chat and that we can share articles, pics, videos, etc. Yeah, it's so Discord makes it a lot easier, and it's there are so many things that you can do that we couldn't do in the cabin chats, or that we couldn't keep things together in the cabin chat, because that was just a massive wall of text. I remember a couple of years ago that I think I hadn't checked in the morning because I had to work, and I couldn't get access to the cabin on my phone, and I got home to, I think, 300 or 400 messages on the cabin chat. So that was really yeah, that was nightmare, because I mean, back then we had the rule that we didn't have to scroll back to stay up to date. We would fill in those who would come in late, so that was a good thing. But it meant that um, you might miss something, and here on Discord we can keep track of things, and we can make it way more organized, so that we can focus on topics like world building things, resources, and quotes or other things, and that really helps. I find that is why I like Discord so much. Edit comments, yeah. The search field is really handy. It is indeed, and it's there's one thing I'll discuss that later with you. I think we can do a few other things, but I'm not quite sure if we can do that. If we can transform it, I think we can. But it might make it even easier for all of us. But I'll discuss that in a DM with you. That is easier. So getting back to the writing, are there things in what you wrote that surprised you, or that you planned differently? If I look at it, for example, I suddenly got an insight into a small part of Nejat's history. I didn't expect that, but it suddenly just popped up. It might be the influence of some Chinese series I've watched recently. Yeah, I like Asian series. Don't ask me why, but I like it. I like them. Um, but I like Outlander as well. So Asian series, historical fantasy series. Yeah, those are TV series I like to watch. And the fun thing is that you can also get inspiration from them. That's what I love about them. Dida, yeah, little Miss Nettie Dread ends up tying her mother when she's foul mother. Oh wow! Okay, that's yeah. I'm looking forward to reading that. And Melissa, you were surprised that a friend reaches out when she does to your MC. You were also surprised by how much the setting meant to the MC and what it represents to her. Oh, that's interesting. Can you tell us a bit more about that? What is specifically or what specifically is so important that it means so much to her? It's I think it is important to have things for your character that are that remind you of home or of certain situations that felt good or that felt bad. In my case, in this case, because of the way that ancient magic worked, that corrupted device, I should say, worked. Nejat was thrown into a very bad memory. A bad memory I didn't know about, but that's okay. I mean, that's all part of the job. In this case, it brought him down on his knees for a little while. And for a dragon companion, that's not a good thing. So I'm guessing he's gonna take revenge. Uh, I'm, I'm not sure if the other people will be happy about that, but we'll have to see. But yeah. Oh, Melissa, you asked about Nettie. Yeah. And Dina says it's a wordplay. Yeah. Melissa, so the setting is the apartment where her narcissistic boyfriend that he kind of forced her to move into with him. She doesn't know yet that he's narcissist, but in this scene he removes her from it. Oh, okay. And when it happens, she had just gotten home from a work trip and had nowhere else to go. Oh, wow! I didn't realize how much that apartment meant to her in terms of the sanctuary she found it to be. Oh my god, that's... wow. That's incredible. It's... oh wow. Yeah, narcissistic people can be really, really bad. Yeah. And so he, if I understand it correctly, her boyfriend kicked her out of the apartment. Is that right? I mean that's what happened that he did that. I mean, what's the occasion? And you feel like you're typing really fast today. Well, typing fast is a good thing. Dida, her name is not Natalie like in our own like in our world. I've named her Natyala. sorry for the mispronunciation if I did that. That gives the nickname Natty, and since she turned out to be quite combustible, I call her Natty Dread when speaking about her. Melissa, you enjoy the wordplay. Ah, yeah. And you also really like the name Natiala. Dida, it's interesting, a good example of how surroundings can influence what happens. Exactly, yeah. Melissa wanted her to. He wanted to kick. Her boyfriend wanted to kick her out, but I mean, did he give her a reason why he kicked her out, or is it just something like I don't want you in here anymore? But I mean, narcissistic people can be yeah, not good, not good. Ah, it's all those can be really how shall I say that? They can really bring someone down and down to the ground. I mean, and that's really bad. And Fidina and Little Writer Doodles, how are you guys doing? Did you manage to get any writing done? Are you struggling with anything? Let us know, please. We'd be happy to help you out, as you know. So it's what I find in my story so far. This is an interesting piece because at this moment the companions and the villagers that tagged along are have been under a mental threat. I think that's the best description. Nejat has managed to beat it. I think I have an idea why his Parabatai, his mate, well, not mate, his partner, let me put it that way, isn't influenced by it. But I can't tell you anything about that yet because Ruak's role needs to be for now hidden for the future, because that will be exposed in the later novels. But yeah, it's a terrible situation they've been going through, and those other companions as well. They each have had their own nightmare presented to them in a way, or washed over them, if you will. And now they have to get through that and have to work through that, and somehow also they have to defeat these outsiders, and then save a whole family of Flatternims, which I've come to understand is a rather large family of 150 or so Flatternims. The good thing is the Flatternims can fit in the palm of your hand, so they're not that big, but and there are 24 dragon companions, so they should be able to rescue them all. And then there are the small folk, and we don't know exactly how many small folk there are that need to be rescued. So that's going to be a surprise. Did you like to play with names? Yeah, that's always fun. And Melissa, you say he's a narcissist. It's the way he controls the relationship by always keeping her feeling like she's not safe unless she's with him, so he will push her away and pull her back in at will. Ah, that is so bad. And you think his reason for doing this is because she decides to buy herself a cabin in the mountains without consulting him. Okay. And he hasn't given his reason yet because I haven't fleshed that part out yet. Yeah, I mean, does that mean that she feels that something is wrong in this relationship? Because why wouldn't you discuss buying a cabin in the woods or in the mountains with your boyfriend? I mean, you don't have to consult him about it, but talk about it might be something. So does she feel that something is wrong in the relationship? Or maybe she feels that subconsciously, but not consciously yet. Dida, it sounds like he doesn't want her to be independent because then he can't control her. Well, I think if I understand it correctly, that is exactly how narcissists work. In a way, they, from what I understand, everyone else is the problem and they are not, and everyone else has to do exactly what they want, and they will, how shall I say this, they will manipulate people into doing what that narcissistic person wants, one way or the other, and keeping the other down is a way to get them to do what the narcissistic person wants. Did I interesting? Yeah, it is. Melissa, exactly. Yeah, he's extremely wealthy too, so he sucks on all levels. Okay, that's, oh wow. That's a huge problem. And can he block her from buying that cabin in the mountains? Is he so wealthy that he can do that he can influence that? Um, that is the first thing that came up for me. Dira, it's a clan of flutter-nymphs. Yes, it is. It is. Melissa, for your information, the flutter-nymphs is a creature that I made up myself, and it is a very social creature. So they are used to living in families, in rather large families. But a family of 150, it is what Dida says. That's not a family anymore. It's a clan, and if my information is correct, I mean, I'm more of a discovery writer as for world building goes, and the characters and who they are and the story. From what I've discovered so far, it might indeed be a clan and not one family, but more families instead. So it will be interesting to see. Melissa, you think she decided to do it as an act of rebellion? That's interesting. Yeah. Narcissism is unbelievably cruel. Yes, they can be indeed. I don't think I have met a narcissist that. No, I just agree with you. Let me keep it at that. And it brings imbalance into the story, and that's the momentum you need. Yes, exactly. Melissa, that's a really good question about if he can, the question if he can block her buying the cabin. Oh, thank you. You're welcome. You'll have to explore that. Yeah. Oh, you were wondering about the flutter-nymphs. Yeah. It's a creature. I'm still designing it on paper and in 3D. It is inspired by the sea angels. That is a plankton in the sea, and it's, I think, if I'm correct, about 5 centimeters, not even, in the sea. So the flutter nymphs in Tergaenae are tiny creatures. They really fit into the palm of your hand, and they fly. They are airborne or aerial creatures, I have to say. They live in the forests. There are flutter nymphs that live in temperate forests or in rainforests. There are everywhere. They love to chatter, and they have a tail that is like, I think it's a gibbon's tail, that, and at the end of the tail there's a pad that helps them stabilize and helps them stick to the trees. They live in the trees. They have a I think it's like the hummingbirds, if I'm correct. They have a little nest that looks like a cup, and they can fit in it, and they build their nests oftentimes close to the stem, to the trunk of a tree, under a mushroom, under a big mushroom. Um, and essentially they use the mushroom as a roof in a way. Um, at first, I thought that would be way too weird until I looked into nests made by birds, and I mean, birds are they are real architects. It's incredible how diverse nests can be, and I love it. I hope to be able to show the design of the creature. I am really bad at drawing a creature in 2D, so I hope I will later on be able to show the creature in 3D, because that I drawing something in 2D for me, I have trouble seeing the 3D in a 2D picture. Um, so I now use 3D programs like Blender and some programs in either Unreal Engine or in Unity Engine to make that flutter nymph. Um, I've also talked about this with Dida and with an artist friend of mine, to see if what I had in mind was indeed a good thing, and if it could work, and if it wouldn't be too weird looking in a way. So yeah, that is the flutter nymph, and more will come. More information will come later on in the future at some point. Um, did I go to the search bar in Discord? Yeah. Melissa, you're probably not doing it right, but you can't find any info on flutter nymphs in the Discord. The flutter nymphs, you have to, if you simply look in, yeah. Yeah, it's two words. It's flutter and nymph. Um, the flutter nymphs are they are kind of like hummingbirds. Their wings really beat a mile a minute, and they usually don't show themselves. They are, or I should say, they fly too fast, and the only way many people know that there's a flutter nymph around is because of the trail the magical trail they leave behind. Um, that is often how people find the flutter nymph, unless the flutter nymph has the intention to show itself. In the case of the background story, this particular flutter nymph needed the help of Nejat and his team, and so decided to show herself to Nejat and Ruar. Catching up again. Melissa, birds are super cool, especially when building nests and laying eggs and things like that. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Absolutely right about that. I currently have two feeders on my windows, and I always love looking at the birds. And in the past, one of the birds in my garden that visit my garden has even built a nest, but this year they didn't. But it's always fun to see. Did I try with the spacing? Yeah. Okay, you all sorted it out in Discord. I see. Perfect, perfect. Flurry Odo was a flutter nymph. Look at the trail. Yeah. Think about residue in the air. Yeah, sorta. I haven't particularly thought of how that looks. Um, Melissa, trail like slugs. No, it's indeed like Dida wrote. Um, they fly in the air, so they leave a magical energy behind, and the magical energy is what you can perceive in the air. The residue will go away, but at first you will see it. If it, that is to say, if the flatter nymph is close enough to you to how shall I say this? Close enough to you so that you can still see that residue before it's disappeared. Okay. I see that it's already 5:30. It has been 5:30 already. Are you up for one last writing session of 25 minutes? And after that, I want to call it a day because I noticed that I'm starting to get tired and I need to eat. Because that's important as well. We still need to do that. We need to keep that in mind during NaNoWriMo. I mean, yes, it's important to write, but it's also important to just keep on eating and drinking and doing all normal things. I mean, otherwise we can't keep on writing. So yeah, we need to eat at some point. Dida, you can always write some. Excellent, excellent. Then I suggest that we start soon. Dida, you write the best when you're a little tired, but otherwise satisfied. Yeah. Well, at the moment, for me, there's a difference between being normally tired or being COVID tired, so to speak. And for me, that's still a problem. A problem I'm not sure that will be solved entirely in the future. I hope so. I'm still very hopeful that in the end all my symptoms will go away and I will be 100% again. Melissa, you struggle to write when tired for sure, but you like to have eaten at least. Yeah, that's a good one. That's important indeed. Indeed. Dida, yeah, health first. Yeah, I thank you. Melissa, you drink a lot of water when you're writing for some reason. Well, I think it's because you keep on working, and that even though it's not a physical thing, you still have things going on in your body, and that might be why you need more water while writing. I mean, during live streams, it's pretty obvious why I need water or something else to drink, because I mean, I talk a lot. So yeah. And Dida, you say it's to keep the flow, of course. Yeah, that is a very good reason indeed. Okay, so one last writing sprint for 25 minutes. And then I'm gonna call it a day for today. We'll have a quick check to see how everyone is doing after the last writing sprint, and then we'll call it a day. And then the next writing sprint live session will be Friday at the same time, so 3 p.m. European time, Amsterdam time, which will be what was it, 10 a.m. in Illinois, Melissa, is that correct? Next time I will include a link in the description for the time conversion. I have a website for that, and I totally forgot to include it. But at the same time, I think if you're subscribed, then you will simply get a notification, and that notification should show the correct time for you in your notification. So that's good. Melissa, 11:41 in Illinois at the moment. 7. There's an 8-hour difference. Okay, yeah. 8. No, I'm counting wrong. 6-hour difference. My apologies. Yes. Melissa, you've just been googling whenever you say the time. Let me see. Time zone, time. I had a good website for that. T2. Here. Time Buddy, I think. 3 p.m. Central Time. Okay, this is the other way around, but in essence you can look up the European time. At 3 p.m. the PST time is 9 a.m. But I don't know if you are still at summertime. Here in the Netherlands, we are at winter time already. Yes. Time and date. That was the one I was looking for. Exactly, Dida. I don't know why you couldn't find it. Time and dates. Right. There it is. There it is. Yeah, but in the notification, and also if you just look at the announced video, the announced live stream, it should show in YouTube. It should show the time that it starts for you in your time zone. So not for me. I mean, if I look at it, it shows 3 p.m. But it should show your time zone when you look at it. Melissa, you just got snow here. You just got snow last night. Ooh, wow! And did you had snow in Norway early Monday morning? I love those videos and the photos you sent. Here in the Netherlands, we do not have snow yet. We've had quite a lot of rain. Everything is still going strong, luckily, so that's a good thing. And here, it's starting to get colder-ish, but oh well, it's still the beginning of November, so I guess if and when it starts to snow and starts to freeze, it will be closer to the end of November, beginning of December, if we get a real winter this year or next year, beginning of next year. I mean, it's been a while since we've had a good winter. Melissa, oh, that's helpful if it's in my yes. The video shows it in your time zone. That's the handy part of it. Okay, so let's do one more writing session. I noticed that I really need to that this is really the last session for me, because I'm starting to mix up things. That's not good. So this is the last session for today, and then we will have another session Friday at the same time. Let's get to it and let's write for another 25 minutes and see how things fare for our characters. And let's see what your main character's boyfriend is going to do about that cabin in the mountains, Melissa. And I'll see what the outsiders are going to experience after Nejat and his companions start fighting. or I guess they will. I wish you all a happy writing and have fun. that's the end of our last sprint. How did you guys do? I managed to write 623 words, which means I made my session goal again, and I made my daily word count. I now have 1850 words, so I'm well above the daily word count for today. So I'm happy about that. I'm now in the middle of a fighting scene with Nejat and the leader of the Outsiders. It's not an easy thing. I haven't fully pictured it yet, so that's an issue. For the rest of the group, I don't know. I just said, okay, they had a fight and now they are tied up, because I had no idea how to write a fight between 24 dragon companions and the Outsiders. That was just simply way too much. Yeah, I'll have to see how this goes tomorrow. I don't know yet. Melissa, you wrote a whopping 1182 words. Wow, you're really on a roll. You're doing awesome. Great. I think you're close to the reverse NaNoWriMo goal, which is, let me see if I can find that. The reverse NaNoWriMo goal for day 1 is 3,346 words. I think you're quite close to that. That's awesome. So keep on going, and you're doing great. Was there anything that surprised you in this piece that you wrote? What did this narcissistic boyfriend do about that cabin? Did he do anything even, or is he still thinking about things? I have no idea yet how to continue, or rather how to write the rest of this fighting scene. I have an idea how I want to end it, but I might just say they fought a little and in the end this happened, because I just don't know yet. I have no idea. Remember to update your word count on the NaNoWriMo site, so to make sure that you get your badges. That's always fun to do, to see appearing. And I say that, oh, here. I'm doing it right now for myself to make sure that I did it. You can just fill in the total. You don't need to fill in the session amount. You just fill in the total, and that's the easiest way to do it. And then you will get your badges. That's always fun to see happening. So I now have my badge of updating my writing process, and I have my badge for first day update. So that's a good thing. And if I now look at my graph, I think I should see that somewhere. Of course I don't. Oh, here. Yeah. Oh, that's weird. I just updated it today, but my graph doesn't show it. Oh, yeah, it does. It does. Let's see. It should also show when you're done. Oh, yeah, right. At this rate, I will be done on November 27th. Well, that's a few days earlier, so that would be fun. So yeah, it's great. Did you say, oh wow, nice? Yeah, Melissa really did an awesome job. Melissa, so the narcissistic boyfriend is now just in the apartment while the MC is on the phone with her friend and leaving to the airport to go to her. Ah, that's good. It's good that she has a friend whom she can turn to. Um, it's incredible. Melissa, it's the first time you've ever written that much in your life in one time. Well, I'm happy to be to be a witness to that, and I think Dita will be too. Um, it's great to see that you've made so much progress and that you managed to write so much in such a short amount of time. I'm really proud of you as a fellow Kevin member. We share milestones like this, and remember, each word you've written is one more word than you wrote yesterday. So we, even if you don't write a lot of words, you still have progress, and you have an amazing amount of progress. It's incredible. Dita, good job. You ended up on your map again. Oh yeah. And how did it go with your map? With your outline and things? Dita, how good. Happy to see you in the Discord. Yeah. Oh, Dita, I see you made us a table as well. Oh, that's great. Yeah, it's sometimes things are not always easy. Oh, that's handy. That's handy. Yeah. That's a very good timetable, Dita. Thank you very much, because that really helps. Um, okay. Your map, the story map, as in a fantasy map of your worlds, yeah, of your lands. Um, yeah, it's a fun thing to do. For my story, I have a very small sketch of the main continent and continents that were originally part of that main continent. Um, it's a fun thing to do, but I still have a lot of work to do on my map, and I think that it is something that I will do in either the Unity game engine or the Unreal game engine, because that helps me to visualize a few things. Um, and also, one of the things I, for example, want to make is Dragon City. Dragon City is a city state like uh, the main city state in Prince of Persia, for example. That is what inspired me to have not only kingdoms but also city states. In this case, Dragon City is a city state, and Dragon City is located inside a huge cave. Think the Han Sung Dong caves in Vietnam. Those are humongous, and a it is an environment all in itself. It also has its own weather system, the caves in Vietnam, and I took inspiration from that. And Dragon City also has its own environment. Dragon City is in essence a cave that has been formed both by the elements and by the deities, the elders, however you want to call them. The dragon companions mostly call them the elders, but Tergaenae has a very huge religious system. There are religions with one god, there are religions with several gods or deities, gods and goddesses. Um, and elders. The dragon companions call them elders. Most of the dragon companions call them elders. And they made, for example, there is a term for it, but I can't get. I don't remember the term at the moment. Where the roof of the cave has fallen in partially, and that is what the deities, what the elders did for the dragon companions to make it possible for them to live in that cave. And not only to live there, but also to have some sunlight and to be able to farm in the cave, things like that. There are rivers in the cave, so it is and lots of other areas. And that is something I would love to build in a 3D game engine like Unity or Unreal, just to see it for once, in 3D. I mean, I think that would be amazing. And for the rest, the map, I will make a 3D map just for myself, and in the end make a 2D map of the 3D map, which I can present on my site and things like that. Melissa, I'm catching up. Melissa, you say that's super handy. Thanks for that. I guess you refer to the table, to the timetable. And you say it's pretty cool that you can build worlds inside of worlds. Yeah. And you love fantasy for that reason. You can make anything you want and it's viable. Yes, yes, it is indeed. You often wonder how much of what fantasy writers build for their worlds actually make it in the books they write. Well, that is the beauty of it, and at the same time the challenge. In your book, in your story, you need to include enough details to make the world alive and immersive for your readers, and to make it look like a real world. But you do not have to include all the details that you come up with. For example, it is a good thing to imagine a marketplace where your character walks. The marketplace is, I don't know. In my case, in Tergaenae, the marketplace will probably have a ground with cobblestones and some patches of dirt, and there would be small stalls, small market stalls, and there would be buildings surrounding that marketplace, with the normal shops, the permanent shops. But the marketplace isn't empty usually. I mean, if you go to the market, suppose it is from 2 p.m. till 5:30 p.m. If you go to the market at 3 p.m., it will often be bustling with a lot of people. And the same goes for your story, for your world. There is a lot more than only that small kingdom in which your story plays, for example. There is either you have to make it extremely believable that there's only that small kingdom on an entire planet, so you have a really small planet with only that kingdom, or you have to make it believable that there is a lot more outside of that kingdom and outside of that continent, which of course is far more logical. But you don't need to tell exactly what is outside of that. You can give hints, and you can have, for example, people visiting from other continents to the main continent, and that way you still have that connection with other continents, with other people, with other kingdoms, with other societies, without having to go into a lot of details. If you have a magic system, for example, for yourself, you have to know what the consequences will be and how things work in magic for your characters. But you do not need to explain it all into the tiniest details to your readers. They have to get enough information to get a picture and to be able to form a picture themselves. So in my example, later on in the novels, there is a mage who can use stone, who can manipulate stones in such a way that they can be used as, for lack of a better word at the moment, memory stones. You can show your memory to others with that stone. In the book, in the chapter I've written about that, I have simply said he made an intricate design and pushed it onto the stone, instead of describing the intricate design, because then I would have to make the entire design and describe that to the reader. It's not important what exactly the design looks like. It is important that it is an intricate design that gets pushed onto the stone. It doesn't matter what it looks like. There is another detail. For example, some mages have a certain tattoo on their wrist, and that is a tattoo that will be described very well, because it is an important tattoo, and because it can be interpreted wrong. And there are also people who have a tattoo that looks quite a lot like it, but they made mistakes, so they don't show the right tattoo. In that case, it is important to show it, to describe it into detail. Catching up. Dida, yeah, thing is to stick with one decides on. Yeah. Dida, yeah. Melissa, yeah, I would imagine that the imagination would go wild and want to really color everything in. Yeah. You can do that if it's something that is really vital for your story and for your for your characters, for the progression, for how a character deals with things. In fantasy, I think it is also important to give your readers the freedom to imagine things for themselves. That is what makes fantasy such a beautiful area to write in. Did actually you form or shape things as you go and then alter the map and save it so that the last things are recorded? Yeah, that's easy. That's a good approach. And you figured you need a specific name for a mountain area, and you're now searching for the passages you've already written when someone's passing through that area. Oh, interesting. You might have written a name already. There are a lot of people who world build too much. Exactly. There's a fine line between world building enough of what you need and world building too much. There are people who world build just to world build. They just enjoy it, and I mean, that's okay. Just go ahead and do it. But as an author, you have to keep in mind that, or it's important to keep in mind, let me put it that way, your story needs enough world building to be able to let the reader interpret your story correctly. the pitfall is that you world build so much that you simply don't get to writing anymore, or that you include so much information about world building in world building dumps, or just so much information, so many details, that readers do not see your story through all the world building anymore. And that's the fine line you have to thread. Melissa, so you might have already said this, and I'm rewriting it with these new characters. But how much have you written of this project so far? The first draft wasn't written completely because I had to rewrite it. The second draft has I had written for, I think, 3.25 until I found that I was stuck in some kind of writer's block, but that was something. There was a question I had to answer for myself, and it was a psychological thing. And until I had answered that question, I couldn't proceed with my story. In between answering that, I have to say it correctly, the time it took me to answer that question, and I had help with that, was quite a long time. And in that time, I couldn't complete that first novel. I had a pretty good idea where I wanted to end. Also, not only for the first novel, but also for the entire series. And I had several things already written, but those were not written in stone, so to speak. And then Nejat and Nasya presented themselves, and I knew that it would be far more better. So right now, I have several chapters left to write, technically to write from my previous draft, but I decided to keep on writing this background story, and then incorporate, and then write the novel again, and incorporate those pieces that were good and adjust those pieces that needed adjustment. As for the rest of the series, I have a very rough outline for the other books. I haven't made it quite yet into the outline that I wanted to be. I had planned to do that in October, so that that part of Preptober just went down the drain. And that, but that's okay. That's okay. Right now, I have a very good idea where I want to go. I also have quite a good idea where I want the series to end and how I want it to end. And everything in between is developing faster and faster as I go. So, of the 5 books I have planned so far, 1 has been written for the most part, and will be rewritten partially, and the other 4 have been planned but haven't been written yet. And Melissa, you also asked how many words did I manage to write earlier today. Yeah, 3,000, more than 3,000. That's awesome. Didi, you're gonna be writing some more after dinner. Oh, that's awesome. Melissa, actually giving readers some freedom of imagination. That's the sweet spot. Exactly. Yeah, and it is. It's a fine line between, indeed, and that is the sweet spot between giving them enough and giving them too much. I mean, you don't have to answer all the questions about your world, but you need to answer the questions that they need to interpret your story. and then it's no problem if there are still questions left about your world. It also gives you possibilities to write even more. That's the fun part. Um, and I mean, it's not only for fantasy stories, it's also for people who write in present day. Um, Especially when you write in present day, of course you have the earth and all the technical rules that apply to the earth, but at the same time you create that little world in which your story plays. You thought of that cabin in the mountain, you have that apartment. You might use a real city, or you might have a city that looks like, I don't know which city, just name one, and from there on work more on the city that you have in mind. So that means that yes, you use basically everything from Earth, but at the same time you create your own worlds within Earth, essentially, because you create your own little world in which your story plays, um, and that's the fun part, and I think that is also the fun part, the fun challenge in writing stories. Um, Melissa, for what you're writing, the MC is in New York, so the world building is more about how she reacts to it. Yeah, I can imagine that. So, um, especially if you use an existing city or village or whatever, then you can use that. Um, Important things to keep in mind are how things look, but also how much time does it take to get from one end to the city to the other. Um, for example, I don't know, just out of the blue, an accident happens and an ambulance and firefighters need to get to it. Um, how much time does it take them to get to there? Um, Things like that. How much time does it take the police to get to the scene of the accident? Those are all things um, that also play a role, or can play a role, I should say, in your world, and thus you need to know in your world building, because that is information that you need. I mean, if you think, for example, that it takes, I mean, this is purely hypothetical and it makes no sense at all, but it takes 5 minutes to go from the north to the south of New York. I know it doesn't, but just go along. Um, if you think it takes 5 minutes and it actually takes, I don't know, 15 minutes, probably doesn't take 15 minutes either, probably takes way longer than that. But let's play along. It's factually takes 15 minutes instead of 5. That's 10 minutes that your characters need, or 10 minutes in which terrible things can happen, or 10 minutes in which people can be saved, or whatever. Those 10 minutes can make a huge difference. And in that case, in that respect, world building is also important. Um, and that is what people often forget, that it's not only for fantasy writers, it's for all writers, it's for all authors. Melissa, you've been reading a lot of blogs about travel and things like that in New York. It's pretty interesting how different that is compared to where you are right now. I have to say I don't know anything about New York, so I can't tell you, I can't say anything about that. But I can imagine. I mean, it's people can give you details that you otherwise wouldn't have gotten. So that's funny to hear, and it's very good information also to get. And I mean, if I look here in the Netherlands where I live, it's pretty different. If I look at the city to the west or the city to the east, I mean, it's 15, roughly 15 kilometers either way, either side. But the difference in culture, in society, in those two cities is already vastly different. And when I go even further east or south, east or west, there's an even bigger difference. So it's that's the fun thing you can find with world building. Things can be so different from town to town, village to village, province to province, state to state, and of course country to country. Simply because people there have another history, have other things that were important in their town or village. And that can make for very interesting differences between cities and states, and etc. etc. Melissa, you say it's mostly public transit for the general public there. Here we drive our own cars everywhere. Yeah, I can imagine the same between our capital city, Amsterdam, and I don't know, a large city like Den Bosch or Utrecht. Those are very different cities, but also within the city itself, on the outskirts of Amsterdam, you will find people use cars for more, while in the inner city, people will walk or go by bicycle, and public transit indeed. So those are all fun differences. Dira, it took 15 minutes exactly to walk across all of New York. Nowhere County in Idaho. Okay, yeah, that's an interesting prompt. Oh yeah. Is it? Oh, it's fun. I mean, it's world building can give you so much interesting information also, and interesting facts. I have my Google feed on my phone is always fun to see, because I will get articles about things, about artifacts that have been found, but also fossils from millions of years ago, and artifacts from the pyramids, for example, or things they found. I think a few weeks ago they found something in Scotland or in Ireland. Just some coins that were dug up, or a sword, or all kinds of different things that give a piece of history of that country and of that area people lived in, and that's fun. And it's a piece of history, of true history, but those are also things you can use in world building. I mean, even if you are writing a modern day story, it could be that, I don't know, someone is writing, for example, a crime story. Why is there I don't know, a small statue of a Anubis in someone's living room, in the victim's living room, and what does it have to do with a crime scene? It doesn't have to do with a crime scene at all. So yeah, that's even those tiny things can be interesting for your world and for your story. Melissa, you said that Dita's prompt was hilarious. Yeah, and where you live, it takes that amount of time to walk anyway. In time, you can go from one end to another in 2 minutes of drive time, and you could be in Nowhere County. Dita, you've heard Nowhere is in Idaho. Well, at least now we've got a location of nowhere. That's a good thing. Perfect. Those are also fun things. I mean, where do the names of cities and of villages come from, and of roads and alleys? Um, that can be fun as well. It can be just a fun part of history, but it can also really mean something to a village or a city or whatever. Or the houses on that road. I mean, it can mean that certain houses at a certain road can't be demolished, but they have monumental status instead, because of what happened there and because of the impact it had on the city, for example. Yeah. Melissa, you say it's also in Illinois. Oh, okay. So nowhere is pretty common. Okay, that's good. That's good. Um, I noticed that I'm getting more tired, and that means that I'm going to end this live stream for today. I want to thank you all for joining. If you haven't already, subscribe in the link below to get notifications of new live streams and the upcoming videos about Scrivener and other things. And Friday we will have the next live stream, same time, same place. And I hope you all can join. Melissa, yep, you're losing steam here as well. You need to eat and get ready for the kiddos to come home. And Dida, you think internet is a bit on and off for some reason. Luckily, my internet seems to have been restored lately, so that's not a problem. But I feel I need to eat as well, indeed, Melissa. Melissa, thanks for so much for this. It's lucky I found you all this morning. I'm happy that you found us, and we're really, really glad you joined us in the Discord. And I mean, just leave any questions in the Discord if you have questions or things you'd like to discuss or like to get some feedback on. That's always welcome. For those joining in later, you can leave your questions in the comments below, and I will get back to them soon. Thank you all for joining, and I'll see you next time.